And we're coming in hot there because it's Friday. Good morning, all. How's it going? Good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday to everyone. Good morning. Mooring is the term we use here because you are welcome to moor your vessel to our railing. Step in for a little skating action. Thanks, Stretch. I was just sitting there going, I wonder if the audio is okay. And I didn't have to say the word K. I did not need to say the word K. There's so much to do. We got to talk about the Transquakerferian agenda, the Transquakerferian agenda. That's how important it is. And I'm not muted, which is good. And this is the slideshow that I prepared for you. And I do not know why I'm talking this way. It's probably not very polite. But it all started with a block. I recently joined one of the social media sites again. And this guy was like, hey, will you be my friend? And I was like, oh, I do not know you. And he's like, come on, man. I know some people you know. And I'm like, oh, man, you do. Man, I've been working on this thing called boundaries. And he's like, come on, man, I'm going to shit on your book if you don't friend me. I'm going to take it personally. You know how this works. This is this demon talking. He's like, you know how this works. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I know. I got a bad feeling about this. He's like, James, why are you listening to your feelings? And I was like, I've been here before. This is a crossroads. I have been here before. And it feels like we're doing it again. And so I said yes. Oh, man. I said yes. And the other day, I posted Jemima Wilkinson. Some of you are like, okay, where's he going with this? Jemima Wilkinson had a near-death experience. She was a Quaker in the 19th century. What, do you like that? All you people in the spectrum, do you like that? Does that feel good when I do that? Am I chasing you through the house now? Run away. I hope not. I hope you're enjoying James True Live. Jemima Wilkinson suffered a near-death experience in colonial America. And the event moved Jemima so much that gave Jemima a new name. Universal People's Friend, I believe is what it was. And the Universal People's Friend went around and proselytized about the beauty of Amuraka and in the future and integrating with the current culture there, honestly. Many Iroquois also had this twin people kind of thing going on. And it was more prevalent than you think. Some of you might be going, hey, that slide looks kind of lazy. No, this is a slide of a polar bear in a snowstorm. He's pushing his way through the snowstorm. And I didn't get to render that one. But this one I did. And that two-spirit individuals would hold roles as healers and matchmakers and shaman, recognized by over 150 tribes. This is not a fringe thing. It's in a lot of legends. Even the way a tribe ran. It's right now we are insisting that because of the Luciferian agenda, and let me just spoil the show. It goes beyond the Luciferian agenda. This goes deeper. If you want to find the roots of the Luciferian agenda, you're going to have to go through the Quakers. Yeah, the Quakers, the Circle of Friends, one of the most evil organizations to have ever been formed. They came to this nation and they integrated with Turtle Island. They were like, hey, what are you guys doing? They're like, we're in a circle. We're called the Iroquois Confederacy. And they're like, actually, they didn't even say that. Okay, I'm just using white man language because I'm a white man. Check it out. I ain't got no melanin. I got a little bit, I guess, but not as much as other people. So we invent racism. This is how fucking insane we are, which is why I'm just going to push through and do this. So do what you got to do, people. Do what you got to do. I'm chasing you all with the power of this mighty, mighty stream, because if you want to break down the Luciferian agenda, you're going to have to go to the Transquakerferian agenda, because at Turtle Island, these guys, they were evil as fuck. They integrated with the local Iroquois. They adopted their culture. They learned to speak their language. They adopted their forms of government, their forms of governance itself. They even adopted a matriarchal family subset in which there's like a tribal chief lady, chief mama, mama chief, big chief mama. And Big Chief Mama dictates what goes on in the household, because Big Chief Mama has big wigwam. Wigwam belongs to Big Chief Mama. It don't belong to no patriarchal wama mama. That doesn't happen that way. You know why? Because men are fucking free. They're like, hey, I'm out here pointing my thing at stuff. You know, dogs have tails. Men have one too. It's just on the forward. It's a fail. It's a flail. That's what it is. It's a saber. A saber of divination. Man, imagine if we just consciously figured out, like a long time ago, that actually this was just a scrying device, that our tentacle down there was a scrying device, and that we learned to find sacred healing water. Guys, you would get laid so much if you do this. But no, we got to go all, no, it's trans-Luciferian, and no one should ever have sex unless it's to procreate, unless you cut a hole in a sheet. And then if you cut a hole in the sheet, then you can do all kinds of stuff. But you also have to hate porn, but also secretly watch it. But then you also have to say that you hate Hollywood while you worship it all the time by talking about how it's nothing but a bunch of pedophilia. And then you keep wanting to point to children's movies and saying, hey, there's a giant dildo on the cover. Look at the giant dildo. And then people are looking at you like, wait, who's the pervert again? And you're just like, this is not about me. This is not about me. And this is where we're at, guys. I had to block someone today because of this. Guys, I know many of you are terrified that we're in a gigantic culture war, and that if we do not save ourselves by having sex with women, civilization is going to die. Okay, first of all, great fucking idea. I am on board with you for that. All right, let's be honest. This is brilliant. If you want to talk about one of the best ways to get chicks, frame it in the standpoint of we have to save civilization, okay? Because that is winning, all right? Second of all, a lot of you believe in the Real Man Project, meaning that as long as you can insert your sacred seed into the woo-wah, and that be during the right time, because the basket opens and closes, that you score a goal for Project Eternity, okay? You've decided that this is you saving the human race. And I got to tell you again, fucking brilliant, dude. Seriously. You're getting laid and you're saving the world at the same time. This is like top-notch fantasy. Whoa, this is a good fantasy to have. I implore you to keep going, because this is great. However, this is what guys do anyway. It's maybe you're not saving the world. Maybe the world got here because there's just sort of a natural inclination for these two things to meet. It's, electricity. A lot of people are like, oh, it's too advanced. I can't handle electricity. And really, electricity is just two prongs in two holes. And you are just one prong in one hole. It's you can actually put it in upside down. It still works. This is why, guys, this is not, I think we need to stop maybe saying that this is the pinnacle of what we have to do to save. This is all I'm saying, is that I don't know if we're actually saving civilization. I think we might be lying to ourselves, honestly. And frankly, I don't know why we need an excuse. I don't know why we need to it has to be a sacred. It's like, I don't know why you need that. I really don't. Maybe you're a rubber band. Maybe your body's a rubber band and you're meant to stretch and let go and release and stretch and release. And you're like, no, because the orthodoxy says I should shame myself. And then you're going to go online and you're going to post about how you're not 30 days sober, you're 30 days faber, right? You're like, hey, I haven't touched myself in 30 days. Can I get a chip? And then people are like handing out chips for that. And I'm watching Society and I'm just like, you guys, what? Where do I get these drugs? Why does this not work on me? Why am I so deep, man? Why am I so deep? I'm sitting here walking around thinking that the way to get someone's heart is like through compassion, and all you have to do is just save the universe by like not masturbating until like just the right hole is open, and then doing that, and then running around going, I did it, I saved the world. And now what? Now God's gonna like say, oh, you were on my sacred team. And I'm just like, I did not know it was this easy. I had no idea it was this easy. And frankly, I'm glad. I should relax more. I was running around younger being all, oh, I have sacred virginity. Oh, you know, I'm Jenny Frankenberg. Fucking lied to me. She lied to me. She's like, yeah, it's my first time too. She's like, look, I have a list of 7 things. And I'm just like, oh, God. Oh, I've been duped. I didn't care. You think I'm going to turn around midstream there? You think I'm going to be like, oh, I've been fooled. I should stop now. Guys, I have been to Tijuana. Don't make me tell you that story. That's really embarrassing. These things were everywhere. They were everywhere. And Turtle Island's just one. These two-spirited individuals. There's more. There's more. And Cybele, the cult of Cybele. I don't even like calling it a cult. These are just people. Cybele, a mother goddess, priestess, priest of Gali. These people that followed her, right? And they were like, hey, Attis. Attis is the guy who castrated himself. We've talked about this. I've described to you why I think you really need to look at why Jesus was suffering in the garden and why he was denied 3 times and why there's a rooster, because that's Priapus and Apraxis. And it's frankly why we invented Viagra. But to undergo the cutting of one's penis was not that out of the question back then. It really wasn't. And if you understand this idea I've been trying to push on the street, a little tinker, I'm opening up my little wares going, hey, look, early consciousness was a lot more retarded than right now. Remember this idea I keep telling you? If you take that back to Attis, if you take that back to a cult that castrates themselves and starts to dress androgynously, and not only does the cult take off, but it's actually pretty standardized. Not only is it pre-standardized, but a lot of bureaucracy started hiring this cult, being like, you guys are like, really have your shit together. And they're like, yeah, I know, says the eunuch. Eunuch's just walking around. That's all I hear all day is how I really have my act together. That's probably what that was like for a eunuch back then? He's like, oh, wait, what is it today? Sacred Dildo Day? And like, yeah, and there's a crowd chasing, a virgin down the street with a sacred dildo. And he's just like, yeah, I've really got my shit together. And so he rules the place. He runs the place. He has complete control of his faculties. Why? Because he removed his faculties. The Eightfold Path begins with one truth, one noble truth. Suffering is caused by desire. Therefore, if thou shalt removeth thy desire, you will endeth all suffering. So Attis is really the Buddhist cult. It's a Buddha cult, is what it is. And I've told you that circumcision is the same practice. It's the practice of Abraxas. It's the shaming of the Priapus in Rome, so much that the Vatican had to hide their cellar and chock them full of sex toys and tell you, oh, it's sacred devil stuff. And it's like, well, that's one way of putting it, Peter. But why was Peter baptized upside down? Because early on, the first baptism, that was about the Priapus, baby. That was about the don't make me flip you off. This isn't what I mean, but it's about that sacred symbol. Two stones. The ark. Why can't I think of this word? The 10 Commandments. Thank you. The testaments. The 2 testaments. Right. 2 tablets. 2 testaments. 1 pole. The ancient pole of Greece. Remember, we used to worship this thing. Our earliest religion was this. I might have added the music. Welcome to Athena Night. We got hot Gorgon women serving fried cheese sticks. Wet olive oil, pressed from virgin fingers. Oh yeah. Right, so this is now the ordinary. Most of early religion really was, hey, if I stroke something, my dreams come true. That's all it takes, my friends. You can start a whole religion with that. So the idea that fertility or sexuality, that we might lose those things because of a Luciferian agenda, I just want to tell you, we are fine. We've been doing this a while. And I think it's gorgeous ploy. Seriously, it's some of the most creative breath work I've ever seen is saying that you have to save humanity by getting laid. It's truly, and frankly, if you could find a maiden who wants to go into the woods and churn butter, man, I am like looking at you like, dude, write a book, show me how to do it. You think Andrew Tate has a program on how to be cool? I want to, you have got this thing freaking down. Seriously. So, first things first, I can't handle objective reality anymore. I can't deal with all this insistence that we have to collapse these waves and we have to decide one thing's the other. And the trans-Quakerian agenda, I think, is hopefully my homage to tell you guys that, look, it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. And I really am talking to the fascism that I know the objective reality people are going to be like, we're not fascists. We're the most unfascist people that have ever been there. And if you don't agree with us, we're going to kill you. And it's like, see what I mean? They're like, no, I don't see what you mean. And I get it. I know you don't see it. But I'm so tired of catering to your reality. I'm so tired of catering to your insistence that every single thought has to be the same, that there's only one view about all of these things, from nuclear war to relativity to vaccines to COVID to Trump to the government to UFOs to aliens to sexuality to a Luciferian satanic cult from Hollywood that keeps dying because we keep throwing more fire on top of it some reason and we think that works, to blue laser beams from space, to the entire Space Force itself, the way that they picked out their uniforms, the fact that Buzz Aldrin's mom was named after the moon, Wayne L. Sexton, the inflatable planes, the fact that there were 7 opportunities to capture bin Laden by the media, which you all admit is clearly run by the government, but yet somehow they decided to keep their media integrity then. Building 7, of course, is on the list. There's so many other things. And at the end of the day, all I see is that objective reality is bullshit. It's bullshit. And the people that are insisting that all of us have to agree are the exact same people that are terrified about civilization collapsing unless we get our nuts off. Unless we embrace an ancient culture that we pretend is somehow better, even though we're simultaneously confusing it or insisting that it's being run by pedophiles, but we still want to preserve that culture itself. So we can't look at anything in the future. How dare us be progressive? The word liberal is a naughty bit now. So everything's collapsed on the wave of one side or the other. Whether you be conservative or liberal, whether it be sheep or awake, all these things. Excuse me. We're going to have to say goodbye to objectivity because it doesn't make any sense. And if you want to look at James True now, you're going to notice that the ecliptic is switched, that I have on the other side of the horizon, there's something that's been occulted that you can't see anymore. And what's been occulted is just my information that I've read. All the things that I've learned when I wrote Ark of Baphomet. Things just like this. That why did we have such a popular trans movement in Rome? If it's a Luciferian agenda started by the Rockefellers or someone like the Rockefellers or the sacred black nobility that gave birth to the Rockefellers, if they started it, Why do we have so much indigenous, pristine history of these things? Pristine, meaning they're separated from each other. Not all of them are separated, but enough of them are to where it becomes impossible to blame this on a single red shield or a big nose. That the truth seems to be much deeper. Why? Because if you're going to buy into this mode, you're going to have to throw some Quakers on the fire. And Quakers are some of the most hip, fucking modern, kick-ass, enlightened people you will ever meet. I'm just telling you it's the truth. And if you look back at what was happening in Turtle Island, they were the very first ones that were like, this place kicks ass. Confederacy, fuck yeah. I am one of you. And part of the way that this mixing is even seen through this trans-Quakerian agenda, because some of them started dressing like people of the fringe, Jemima that we're talking about. The first character, we'll get to it. So even though we have a transgendered Hopi in Egypt, this idea of a breasted male who actually shaves his face off, but then wears a sacred beard. So it's like all of it is so transvestite-y. It's transitively moving, honestly. And then you have one of the biggest stories in the world, biggest I should say V8s, biggest knock on the forehead is this. The story of Hermaphroditus, the union of Hermes and Aphrodite. Dionysus themselves associated with gender fluidity and ecstasy. But more importantly, you have Pan, the god of fertility, teaching a hermaphrodite how to procreate. Say this again. You have a fable, you have a mythology of Pan, the inventor of fertility. This is the first god that ever died. The inventor of fertility also invented mortality. That's weird, but think about it. Is it? Is that weird? If you were propagating a species and the only tool you had to propagate a species was fertility, then that would mean fertility and mortality are tied together. That for the first time, if you did not fertilize someone else, you would lose mortality. So Pan is the first god to die, but he's also the first god to invent fertility. Not only does he invent fertility, he has to teach it to people. He is teaching Hermaphroditus how to play the flute. The flute. The flute. Tell me you see it. The flute. Teaching how to play the flute. It's not innate. Sexuality, fertility could even be an innate, a process that is introduced into our species. Why do I say that? Because I have a mythology. James, that's not enough. I know, which is why I'm asking the objective realityists to fucking leave. You guys are the ones that are already convinced there has to be a single origin for all humanity, that there has to be a singular event in which there was nothing and then there was everything. You're already sold on this idea that if all of us do not agree and conform to your personal views on fertility, on sexuality, on cosmology, that the entire civilization will collapse. And I'm telling you, this is what a weak, lame cosmology feels like. I'm calling your cosmology out on the mat. I'm saying it's a wimp. I'm suggesting that it needs to grow some balls and put some time in the gym because it's relying on a criminal state called Objectivity, a fascism police that comes in and uses the power of majority rule to bully someone who has a cosmology that is sounder, that lasts longer, that hurts no one, and contributes to the divine macaroni picture that we are delivering to God, him or herself. So this is a goodbye to the old way of thinking, because there's no way for us to go anywhere if every seventh sentence I say, you have to wonder, hey, is that gay? Should I be thinking about sodomy right now? Because that's all you're doing when you're telling me that you think certain things are gay. Yes, if you want to go to the place that Pan teaching a hermaphrodite, how to have sex is gay, I want you to know that you're the one that started thinking about sodomy. You did that. And yes, you have leaders that have taught you that if you spell gay, G-A-Y-E, that it magically doesn't mean that. And I'm telling you, I am impressed as fuck with your ability to lie to yourself in public like this. It is truly stunning. I wish I had that power. The problem is I've been baptized in information. Oh, I've been baptized in history. I've been baptized in mythology, and I like it. I can't stop finding these waterfalls. I hike to them, I pack sandwiches, I bring people, we meet, we bathe in these sacred waters, and we come out, and just as Narcissus, just as you fear everyone else in Lamachussus, I think that's right, is that we emerge a different species. We have transmogrified because we have fallen for the trans-Quakerian agenda, which is you are your own person in cosmology, bitch. It's all you. And we have this story. This isn't just Pan. This is Daksha from India. This is Banabjetit from Egypt. This is Khnum from Egypt. All four of these taught fertility because there was a time when you did not need to teach fertility, and the time when you did not need to teach fertility was during the hermaphroditus phase of humanity. What did this look like? It looked like the patriarchs. It looked like people that lived 600, 300, 900 years. You're looking at someone that selves themselves, which is why Noah lives for 900 years. It could easily be a new human being that is the same hermaphrodite, but the Old Testament recorded these things. This is not that far out. This is not a big reach. If you're struggling with this, I wrote a book called Ark of Baphomet. You can buy it. It'll show you these things. I know this is hard to hear, but keep in mind, you're coming from a cosmology where all you have to do is masturbate into a hole and you've saved humanity. And we're taking all that and we're moving it to, oh my God, fertility was invented? What the fuck is this place? And I get why you don't want to come. I get why you can't handle it. In China, Taoism itself is saturated with this hermaphroditic type language. The yellow cults during the late Han Dynasty, specifically during the reign of Emperor Ling, the Yellow Turban Rebellion, these were eunuchs, particularly the 10 attendants, wielding significant power, abusing their influence, and contributing to the dynasty's decline and the rebellion. These are the Cybele cults. This is the circumcised, gaining power over their animism, placing the reins on their own desires for just raw, pure sex. It's a coming online of a consciousness that did not exist before underneath the patriarchs. The patriarchs are very simple-minded. This is why they didn't survive. These are the acorn eaters. This is the cyclops of Polyphesis, I think so. These are the ones that are easily fooled. They're easily lied to because they lack a frontal lobe. These same creatures, not only were they weird in the fact that they couldn't run, not only were they weird in the fact that they couldn't think straight, they were probably hermaphroditic. Probably. There's so much more data here. I could show you the Old Testament verses. We just don't have time today, but I've shown pictures. We've done episodes on this in the past, showing you all the gender blurring that occurred in the Old Testament. That the language itself jumps back and forth. We did an episode called Noah Was Roofied. I highly recommend it. Frankly, I'm sad that it hasn't seen more hits. It describes the idea of why someone would want to drug their own father in order to preserve their seed because they knew that they were not a hermaphrodite anymore, that something different biologically had happened, and they were freaking out about it. So not only is this trans-Luciferian, Quakerferian agenda goes all the way back to the Bible, it is tame as fuck right now. It is tame as fuck. In reference to what was really happening, it is tame as fuck. We already talked about Jemima Wilkinson, Omoteotl, dual gender creator God. This is just like Hapi in Egypt. Exact same thing. Exact same thing. It has to be this hermaphrodite that introduces fertility. It's the same thing. Biggest proof right now, genetic chimerism found in humans. There's a prevalence of genetic chimerism in the human body. This is when one organism contains two different sets of DNA. I'm not making this up. This occurs when two fertilized eggs merge in the womb. This is tetragametic chimerism. There are court cases where a paternity test comes back false, but it's the maternity test that comes back false. The maternity comes back false. Why? Because the woman's womb, the actual place where the egg was grown, where the zygote gestated and turned into a human being, that part of it had a separate DNA signature. It was not actually the woman's. It was a different identity. That identity could be male. It could be female. The child is born. They do a DNA test. It doesn't match up. They tell the mother, you're not the actual mother. We think you kidnapped this baby. She's like, no, I swear to fuck, this is my baby. No, I swear. The baby's like, I swear. The husband's like, I was there, man. She was fucking yelling. Hospital was there. Birth certificate all checked out. How can this be? Then they did a DNA sample from a different part of her body and bingo. Chimera. This isn't as rare as you think. It's not. It's nowhere near. You can't even call it a mutation, because it doesn't fit the definition. It happens too many times. The chances of chromosomes making a redheaded girl are pretty rare. Would you believe that intersex conditions have the same rarity? That there's anatomical evidence of human hermaphrodite and the multisex chromosome, and it's so frequent that it equals the same kind of ratios as a redhead? And that there are all these conditions that actually disprove the idea that there are only two genders. This is what people say, there are only two genders. And what they mean is there are only two sexes. And what they don't know is that there are actually four sexes. There are 3 or 4. Depends on how you classify them. And once we start talking about chimerism, you really start to realize, well, sex, how do you even keep track of that? Because the genetic identity is something that's actually not sex. The sex is more of the hardware. Which way do the things point? How does the brain develop? Certainly there's differences in the sexes, absolutely. But these differences don't have to be static. They don't have to be completely still. That if those differences were to change, it might actually be something that's helpful and adaptive as it overcomes certain intricacies found in its environment. So the next time you see a redhead, I want you to imagine that you're just as likely to be looking at someone that is somehow hermaphroditic or has a multisex chromosome. Every time you see a redhead, you could be looking at someone else that has this. Please don't hear me as saying redheads are the hermaphrodites. They already have enough trouble. You guys already accuse them of not having souls, okay? It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you look in a theater and there's 100 people there and you notice there's 3 redheads, I want you to also notice, hey, there's going to be 3 multisex chromosome people here too. I wonder who they are. And they were not going to fucking tell you. They can't tell you. They see how crazy, how nuts people behave when these things happen. The truth is that all biology has a fertility clutch. It's a clutch that it employs. You can push in the clutch and you can be less fertile. And thank God, because otherwise you'd be cruel. You'd be throwing babies up, using them as skeet shooters, because you just had too many. So it's actually humane to have this clutch. It actually makes a lot of sense. It's actually pretty darn helpful. I already mentioned Pan, Kanum, Daksha. They were on this slide, but they were getting it on because there's a slide about fertility, and I can't show you that. We can't show you that. But the sacred twins, same kind of idea. These gender plurd patriarchs, I just talked about that. Really, I think what you're looking at is that ever since 1950s, we started to see that fertility and sexuality were splitting. That fertility was one stock, and what happened is that sexuality started to branch off of it. And I could say that this has been actively happening since Elvis. I could certainly say it's happened before then, but as Miguel Connor just told me yesterday, Elvis really was the first boy toy. And he was actually the first idea that a sex symbol could be a man. And when you start to look at all the pop stars that happened since then, you've been looking at this trans-Quakerian agenda that's been here for a long time. So it predates any kind of satanic secret society. But more importantly, it's saturated so deeply in the soil that even some of the most primal roots of Mississippi, where you basically have a slave culture that's worshiping the blues itself, ends up coming in with these same kinds of ideals. Again, a very pristine, separate from other societies, coming online of things. Truly, I think the biggest problem that we suffer from is the idea of binaries, that we have to collapse everything into a binary of, is this right and is this wrong? Is it right for someone to do this? Is it wrong for someone to do this? And excuse me, I think that the hypotheticals really do show us a lack of our ability to be in the world. That objectivity runs into hypotheticals because it's trying to collapse every wave. And I'm here to tell you that every single human has a different experience in this world. And some would argue, well, that means you're into relativity. And I think it's just subjectivity. But honestly, I don't think you could even say it, because it's like water to a fish. It's so obvious. You have a white sun that is showing you that matter, that the physicality of what we each illuminate and call matter in the world, that has a kind of stability that each of us can cling to. However, the limbic influence of where we are and where we stand, the amount that we drink from every location, the amount that we compassionate from everyone else, is a vast, vast, super wide spectrum of interpretability. That this interpretability is actually impossible for it to be the same, nor do we have the ability to prove or even test it's the same. You cannot place your assemblage point in the same place as mine at the same point in time to see if we see the same thing, because my assemblage point occupies space. So does yours. So matter precludes any of us from ever testing this idea that we have an objective reality. Do you understand? It really, there's no way of testing that. You might get lost on if one person drops a ball and two people are in the room, they'd still see it. You might think that proves it all, but if you get over 20 people, some people aren't even going to be able to see the ball. They're going to be in the back. But James, what if you record the ball? Right, but the recording of the ball is not actually a separate experience. The recording of the ball is a recording of something that happened from one person's vista, from one person's assemblage. So again, we need to part ways, because I don't want to have to keep walking on eggshells when I'm talking about something really as simple and as verifiable and as knowable as chromosomes themselves, or even as the difference in gender. If you can't fathom that there are only two sexes, you're wrong already, because there's going to be 3 or 4. So if you can fathom, okay, I was wrong, there actually are 3 or 4, then you can certainly fathom how the idea of there only being 2 genders is going to be a problem for a lot of people. Then you're going to look in the world, you're going to see tomboys, you're going to dismiss it, you're going to say it doesn't count. You're going to see people that are clearly just not bent in the natural way that your family bent you. And that too is the objectivity that's coming online. So how do we explore things if we're constantly worried, is this a trans-Quakerferian agenda? That's really what it comes down to, is how do you know? How do you know that I'm not secretly going to lure your children? This is a viable concern, that I'm not secretly going to lure your children into a public library because you like to drop your kids off at a public library for some reason, unsupervised, and then go into Target and shop, which, by the way, I didn't even know you could do that. I'm already like, fuck, you can do that? I didn't know you could do that. And that you're worried because the world has transvestites that are in the library reading to babies. And here's how to fix that. The world is a weird place. There are fucking mountain lions, like smoking cigarettes. There's probably like at least one mountain lion that somehow a cigarette landed on its lip. That probably happened. Not only that, the mountain lions are eating babies all the time. They're like hanging out. They're eating grown people. They're eating teenagers. They're eating people that haven't had their first kiss yet. It's happening all the time. You're living in fucking nature. Stop trying to insist that you can't live in nature. You're the one that's crazy Because you think I should be able to leave my kid in a government-sponsored facility and that nothing would happen. Why are you thinking that? Why are you... How did you get... Oh, it's because you thought that all you had to do was stick your seed in the sacred purse and boom, you've saved humanity. And now you're noticing, wait, I have to watch them? I have to nurture their individuality? And what are you going to do when they start to look at your feed and they come up and they're telling you that they don't see sexuality the same way? And you've got this long history of just, what the fuck, man? What the fuck, Dad? You don't think that karma's coming for you? It is on the way, buddy. You know how I know that? Because nature is kind of funny that way. It's kind of funny that way. It's actually kind of beautiful. I get you. I get you don't like it. I get it. Which is why I don't want to lead you on, man. It's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. I can't hold the line anymore and say conservatives they're pretty open-minded. You guys aren't open-minded if you can't go along with this. You can't. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. You're going to browbeat yourself into oblivion. You've already got it where you're exchanging sacred chips for not masturbating. Where do you think this is going to go? You don't, or you think you're better than a priest? You think if you pull this off that you're not going to start diddling weird shit? You don't think that's going to happen? Because let's say it won't happen to you because you got willpower because you strong like bull. But what do you think that your kids are going to put up with that? They're not. This is how a flower blooms. Guys, I'm sorry. I didn't invent David Bowie. I didn't do that. I didn't tell Elvis to do that. I grew up on Bosom Buddies. I get it, man. It was like coming in through a straw. You will watch this Bosom Buddies show and then laugh. And it was funny as fuck. I thought it was funny. Thought the human interactions were funny as shit. I did. I'm one of them. I'm a trans-Quakerian. I got a circle of friends. We're growing. Oh my God. We're growing. But you won't have sex, so it'll be okay. Exactly. This is you winning. You get to win because don't worry, James isn't going to reproduce. So if I'm not going to reproduce, this has been happening for centuries, then just let me say shit. Just let me do stuff. Just chill out. Just scroll past and go, you know what, that guy is so wrong, but he's not going to hurt anything. I swear I'm not going to hurt anything. I'm not. I'm just talking about genitals. That's all I'm doing. I wrote a book about genitals. It's called Arc of Baphomet. I worked hard on it. And I'm only saying this because I don't need you guys to pretend that I've just never thought of this before. That's like, gee, I've never considered that I could save the world by, homeschooling a sire, I've thought of that. Seriously, I've thought of that a lot. Most of my writing is on that. You read Blueprints of Mind Control, you're probably reading a guy that's like, we're going to save humanity because I'm going to put my Excalibur in the sacred stone and Vivian's going to be, oh, the lake is open, my friend. And I thought that too. Do you know how hard it is to step away from that kind of fantasy? That's why at least give me credit. I'm losing audience. I'm stepping away from a fantasy that frankly is a lot cheaper to hold and surrounded by people that do nothing but just support that fantasy. So can't you give me a little credit for like, damn, James, you're really pushing the stone. I'm like, yeah, Sisyphus ain't got nothing on me. And I'm not even proud of it. I hate that I do this to myself. I really do. If I just stop reading, God, if I could just stop reading. God, if I could just stop studying things, it'd be so much easier. Be so much easier. Awesome new cover. Thank you. Yeah, my book has a new cover. Think you guys should check it out. But if you can't handle it, it's okay. We had a good run. We did. You and me. We had a good run. And this is what I mean by I think I get why people are going to say, well, he's a liberal now. This is why people on Twitter hate me. I keep stabbing people in my own foxhole. I get it. I have zero loyalty. This is why I'm like, I don't know if we need friends. And everybody's like, how dare you say that? It's like, I actually think I have a deep point there. If you had no one as a friend, the entire world would be something that you would be willing to be friendly to. It would be something you'd be willing to make to establish a relationship that doesn't involve trust. Here's what I'm trying to say. Trust actually could be the flaw. Why? Because everything that you see, all the court cases, all the trauma, all the books about narcissists, all the my boyfriend's a psychopath and 16 reasons why he's a sociopath too. And all those come down to one thing, that people thought that a substance existed called trust. And they built their entire identity around the idea that they had secured trust. They had secured insurance, a kind of fertility insurance that they had secured. And that this trust was reinforced by society being inside the Ponzi scheme. And that as long as enough people believed in this idea of trust, then we now have established this first social media kind of cult, which is friendship. I get that this is such a hard thing to absorb, because it means if you don't have friends, you automatically have to think that means you're mean or that you're living in a cold world. And I'm telling you, I think it's the opposite. I'm telling you that if I drop that idea that I need trust from you, that I can actually behold you more completely. I have zero expectations. You can come out and suddenly be in favor of something that I was opposing yesterday. Why? Because I don't trust you. You're still in my life. You can still borrow my ladder. We still have a free exchange of information. What's different is you're not on my side because I don't have a side, and I'm not on your side because you don't have a side too. And since neither one of us have sides, neither one of us need to trust each other. We can just fucking be. Which means at any point in time, one of us can leave. Both of us can leave. We can go, you know what? This doesn't feel right now. I need to go hang with my posse. They're going to be like, who's your posse? It's like, it's me. It's like, oh, I know that posse. That's a good posse. And everyone would understand. It'd be hard at first. But it'd be no harder than trying to break through an objectivity cult that insists it's not fascist, because that's what we have now. Everybody's insisting it's not fascism. And you know who says that? The fascists. That's literally the first thing the fascists say, is that, hey, we're not fascists. This is just how we preserve our society. And they're telling you they need to preserve their society because their cosmology is weak. It's weak as fuck, man. It's weak as fuck. I don't want to talk you into this. I want you to have friends. I want you to enjoy trusting each other. I hope that you can just kind of enjoy the exploration. That's all I really ask. I don't need you to eat the oatmeal. I don't need you to buy into the trans-Quakerferian agenda. I don't need you to fall in love with Jemima. It is funny, though, that her name is Jemima. It is funny. And if you can't laugh at that, then it might be because you're too worried about your cult, you know? And like I said, cults are good things. But you're going to be mad at me because you can't trust me. And that's what I need to fix. I don't think you can trust me either. I don't think you're supposed to. I think that we'd both be phoning it in if we trusted each other. I wanted to get this thing up here so I could show you. This is, we're entering into a new phase, guys. And the trans-Quakerian agenda is real. It's real. And you might be noticing that the people that are afraid, the people that are freaking out about it, those are the ones that don't have a cosmology. Hey, if you want to argue about it, if you want to have a dialogue about it, I prefer the latter. But if you need to argue, it's okay. You can come to Dojo. We're having a dojo in 8 minutes, and you are welcome to come. Click on Patreon. You'll see it pinned there, the invite link. Look forward to seeing you in there. Thanks for joining me on this Friday. Hope you enjoyed the show today. I sure did. And I hope you have a wonderful good morning. And we will see you next time on James True Live.